Audio settings are working. Okay. Yeah, going well. So you drafted Tarkir, the Dragon Cons of Tarkir set. You said, right?
Yeah, I did. And they yanked it off Arena, so I couldn't continue, but I did 4 drafts of this. I did a couple of the Arena Cube draft just for fun, but I figure that's not very good practice for a real limited environment. But these drafts I thought were pretty instructive.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the cube can definitely work, but I'm not the biggest cube expert. But I've seen enough LSV videos, I guess. Um,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not
we,
gonna go through those.
yeah, we can look at some of the logs for the Tarkir Dragon Storm. Now looking back, yeah, yesterday I went through all my arena directs, and apparently I've played like the set a million times for sealed, but not drafted that much. So I guess I'm somewhat familiar. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. Uh, I
Cool.
don't know if you have anything you want to add before screen sharing your draft logs, I guess.
No, not really. I mean, I guess the next set to really focus on is Avatar, because you're gonna start prepping for Worlds soon, right?
No, I'm not. I'm not going there. I don't know if it's the next draft in January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I guess a lot of people will be preparing for Avatar. That's funny. I didn't know it was. I guess it makes sense. Is it like an? I didn't know. I don't even know the size of the set. If it's like bigger than Spider-Man or, you know,
I I think
what
it's
it
a
is.
small set but bigger than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I tried to find it out, but I couldn't really.
Okay. Yeah. Um.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so pack one, pick one. I mean, was this like an obvious pick to you, or did you think it was close between a few cards? I mean, pick one, pack one's probably the
So,
most, or sorry, pick one, pack one's probably, like the easiest, no, not the easiest, but like, there's no context. It's pretty easy to talk about. So, you
yeah, I mean, I thought that there was one clear good choice here. I don't know how to use this rare, and this is the sort of card that's like pure support, but it doesn't really do anything by itself. You have to really support it hard, so that was too much deck building cost for me. There's some other cards that are kind of nice, the Glacial Dragon Hunt and the 100 Battle Veteran, but also they have to be in more specific decks. So the Glacial Dragon Hunt, you have to be in 2 colors for this. Um, the Veteran, you have to have counter deck, so it's really asking a lot of you. But then there's a really nice card, just this Wingblade Disciple. So that's what I first pick here.
okay, I mean, we could pause here for a second. It's kind of interesting. Um, yeah, as you said, there's a few cards in the pack. Probably the cards that probably stand out the most to people. Some people. I mean, you mentioned the Oblivion Ring. I mean, it's probably not worth picking, but some people might talk about it. But the other card that stands out to me is actually Sig Appraiser. Like I would kind of be looking between Wingblade Disciple and Sib Appraiser. Um, and this is one of the concepts in Limited where you're varying between like power and versatility. So like Wingblade Disciple, well, it's not even you could like Wingblade Disciple. You could say is like more powerful card, but you might say it's less versatile. I mean, I don't like in it's pretty versatile though. But you know what I mean? Like Sig Appraiser, you just put in any deck, and it's going to be pretty good in any deck. Whereas Wingblade obviously fluctuates based on how much you can do its what's it called, flurry mechanic, right? So these cards seem
Yeah.
kind of like similar power level. This is also it was going against like yesterday. I mean, the people watching the video, but yesterday I was talking about how like cards like Sig Appraiser tend to have. Like, I was talking about how commons get underrated and or sorry, uncommons get underrated and commons get overrated. And I was checking quickly, and I think Sig Appraiser might have slightly better data. There's different metrics. I'm just checking. I pulled up 17 lands here in the background. They're like very similar, so it kind of goes against. So like, let me just see. Wingblade Disciple has a 59% game draw, or let me see, game in hand win rate. That's what Sam Black likes the most. So it's 57.5 game in hand win rate for the Wingblade Disciple. Oh, I guess one thing, not to go too much on a tangent on how to use 17 lands, but the game not seen win rate I think is like very relevant to understand how versatile a card is. I don't. I guess I'll just say quickly. So I guess I can. I guess I'll pull up 17 lands. I guess you don't. in the video here or whatever. But
No.
yeah, I don't know. Like, you know how 17 lands has all those different metrics? Have you ever seen the game not seen win rate metric?
No, I mean, should I just pull up a 17 lands?
Yeah, I would say just pull up 17 lands for
I
what's it
have it up
called?
here.
Yeah, for the set. Yeah, go to where would it be? Analytics, and then card data. It's second from the top. Then click OM1. Go to TDM there. It's under in yeah. Then you click on the table view. See where it says grades and see where it says table. Click on table. Okay. Then see on the right how it says. See on the top how it says name, color, rarity, blah blah. All the way on the right it says game not seen win rate.
Game, this one? Game
Or
not
it's
seen win
already
rate?
there. Yeah, yeah. GNSWR. See that metric? That metric is
Yeah.
actually yeah.
What does game not seen mean?
So yeah, this is actually a very important metric that people might not be aware of, but it's. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it means your win rate when you don't draw the card. Uh, so the reason this is yeah. So it tells so like game in hand win rate. I mean, it tells you roughly your win rate when you draw the card, or maybe that's game drawn win rate. Game not seen win rate is your win rate when you don't draw the card. Like it's pretty straightforward. You know what I mean? Like you pack one, pick one Goblin Guide. Game not seen is the win rate. You don't draw Goblin Guide. Whatever. This is the reason this is such an important metric is because it actually tells you how much of a build around a card is. And if you sort by game not seen win rate, and for many sets you'll see that typically, like a lot of times, there's also like another win rate on the right is the improvement in hand. I mean, I'm not going to try and turn this into a whole how to use 17 lands data lecture, but yeah, I mean, we can go. Okay, here you can see look at Dragonback Assault. That has the highest. When you draw that, it improves your chance to win the most compared to any card in your deck. But it has a sub 50% game not seen win rate, which is kind of weird. I don't know exactly why, but apparently decks that pick it have like a very bad win rate. Usually,
Hmm.
but basically the point of game not seen win rate is if a card has a high game not seen win rate, it just means whether the card's in your deck or not. It doesn't make a big difference to how your deck operates. So that means usually the most generic cards will have the highest game not seen win rates. So that basically a card that asks nothing of you. You know, Lightning Bolt, Swords to Plowshares, what Ancestral Recall, a card that's just good in any deck because it doesn't say anything about the you know what I mean. It doesn't make you build around it. You just put it in your deck. It's good.
Maybe what this implies is this card is so good that people are seeing it when they're not even in these colors and pivoting, thus ending with a worse deck. But when they draw the card, it's great. But if they don't, because this is like the bomb, right?
Yeah, like
In
this
picture.
isn't like the most spot like example that's obviously screams it, but usually an example of a card that will have a really high game not seen win rate is like Atraxa. Like usually when Atraxa's in a set, decks that play Atraxa have like really bad win rates, but when you draw Atraxa, they have good win rates. So you sometimes like four color rares, 8 drops, like if you have Ugin or whatever. But anyway, the point of that basically is to say it gives us an idea of how much a card is asking us to build around it. Like I'll give an example, like let's say there's your pack one, pick one, and you're deciding between Primeval Titan and Summon Fenrir. Yeah, yeah, you played Final Fantasy. You remember what Summon Fenrir does? The
Yep.
green. Yeah, so if you have
Yep.
that,
Three.
yeah, that's an example where Summon Fenrir basically is literally just good in any deck and asks like basically nothing of you. So its game not seen win rate's going to be pretty high. Like its win rate's just going to be whatever a green deck win rate is. Whereas Primeval Titan is a really good card, but it does like you know you can get more mileage out of it the more you build around it. Like it's not going to be as good in every deck or whatever. I mean, I guess it's just a good card. But anyway, the point I'm trying to say is that game not seen win rate gives us an idea of the versatility of a card. So for example, and that's the key thing I would say between the difference when evaluating Sibsig Appraiser versus that other one, Wingblade Disciple. So I'll pick it up. But usually when I talked to Sam Black, he said he thinks the most relevant metric is the game in hand win rate metric. He says that just kind of accounts for everything. Also, another thing about game not seen is actually very important for telling the color difference because sometimes a card will have a 57% win rate and it's green, but green actually
It's
like
bad.
yeah, or like let's say green has a 57% win rate overall. Like sometimes different colors will have different win rates, and like people will get confused, and then the game not seen win rate tells you the difference in the win rate. So what I mean is like let's say the best blue common has a 54% win rate, and the best green common has a 57% win rate. It's not necessarily that the blue common is 3% worse. It's that the green decks perform better. So that's like another way to use it. But anyway, to go to Wingblade, that's what Sam Black calls a card that's just along for the ride. Like sometimes a card will have a really high win rate data, but it's just because it's in the best color, the best archetype, or whatever. So it's like, is it actually good or is it just along for the ride? Anyway, so Wingblade Disciple, if we look it up here, and I would say for 17's lands data in general, like probably the first picks are when it's the most helpful abstractly because you have no context about your deck. You're literally just trying to decide what's the most powerful card, and it can give an idea of that. So Wingblade Disciple has 57.5% game in hand win rate and 52.5% game not seen. So that means it does tell me 52.5 isn't really low, but it does tell me like it does ask a little bit of you. Like you can imagine Wingblade Disciple's not going to be equally good in every deck. Then I look at what's the other card? Appraiser, Sibsig. Yeah. So Sibsig has actually a 59% game in hand win rate, and they have the same game not seen win rate actually, which is so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, according to yeah, 0.1% difference, so pretty small. The improvement in hand is somehow is bigger. I don't really know what to make of that, but anyway, let's just focus on game in hand win rate. So it does like this is for all player data. Sometimes people they say they want to look only at top users, so I'll just cover that quickly just to see if there's a big difference. I like to look at all users because it's just a way bigger sample size, and I don't even think the top users are. I think the top users just like it distorts the data a lot. That's just my opinion, but let me just see the win rate for top users if it aligns. So Wingblade Disciple has 61.4% game in hand for top players, and Appraiser has 62.7. So according to I mean, you don't always have to agree with 17 lands, but according to 17 lands, it would rank the Appraiser as being like a little bit better. And 1.5%, I mean, if you're not used to 17 lands, I mean, 59 and 57.5 is like, I would say like a reasonably big difference. Well, like it's not like 0.3 or whatever. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I was saying the opposite, but yeah, okay, that's a substantial, that's a material difference.
Yeah, like 1% is pretty. Like the way to look at it is you can just look at the win rates of the top commons, and like often the best common will be like 59%, and like a mediocre common will be like 55. I mean that's like 4%, but 1% is kind of like a tier difference. You know what I mean? I mean you can think of it. Yeah, and 1% is a pretty material difference because like like the average card win rate's around 55%, and like the best bomb of all time is like 65. Is like usually the best cards are like 65%. So most cards are only in that 10% band, and the best common is usually 60%, right? And the average common is 55%. That means most commons exist in a 5% band. So 1% is like pretty reasonably different. But that doesn't 100% mean like I could believe Wingblade Disciple is a better pick. So I guess one way I would use 17 lands, I would say, is that like the less I know about the format, the more I take it. So like let's say I haven't drafted the format much, I would just assume 17's lands is right and Appraiser is better. But like the more I play the format, I might be like, well, actually I think Wingblade Disciple is overperforming, so I'm going to disagree with the data. That's kind of part of how I would use it. Anyway,
Okay,
yeah,
so let me ask you about 17 lands for Lorwyn, because specifically Lorwyn's coming out, I think 1 week before the Pro Tour.
yeah.
So there's not going to be that much opportunity to really have time to collect and study this data, and it's going to be rapidly changing. Um, so how much reliance on 17 lands do you think I should use? Maybe just look on it, but more use what my plan is really is to just sort of like look at the cards and try to understand the synergies, understand what decks all of the commons are supposed to be in, strengths and weaknesses from a real fundamental standpoint.
Yeah, so it'll depend how much data is out at the time. So if the official release is like 1 week before the PT, then it might be kind of hard. But like I would see like because you can see on the side there it says like the amount of games seen, pick, played, whatever. Um,
Hmm.
like I don't know it's a substantial amount, but if the numbers seem kind of big, I mean I'm definitely gonna look at it. Just like there's different ways you can get value out of 17 lanes, but I can give like one example of like how I think it's just criminally underused. And sometimes I'll see people arguing what common is better, and they're just arguing between like two blue commons, blue common A, blue common B. And like both of them I know haven't looked at 17 lands, and I just know on 17 lands it's like a massive difference. And it's like, you're probably just wasting time if you're just talking what's better, like this or that. And obviously, like I think it's fine to disagree with 17 lands if you believe you have the experience to do it or whatever. But there's like a lot of times when it's just like, you can just like looking at like the when you can look at it. Also with uncommons especially, it's really good for like what are cards that have high win rates that like you wouldn't expect. Then you can be like, oh, that card, I didn't think was good, but it actually has a good win rate. That can be useful in 17 lands. Like for the weird rares, the weird uncommons. Like if there's an uncommon you're not sure what to think about, you can look at the win rate. And also I would say it's good to look at when you click on the card, it can tell you how it performs into different colors. Like I was talking about Hilderblade in Edge of Eternities, and I said Hilderblade's like really, really good in white black decks, but it's harder to use outside of it. So like maybe there's an uncommon that's like has medium data, but when you click on it, it's actually like really good in one specific archetype or whatever, or color combination. Anyway, so yeah, I would probably use 17. I would like just scroll through 17 lands a bit. I like look what's the highest win rate card, what's the lowest win rate cards. Maybe look at the commons. Uh, Usually, especially cards that you're unsure about. The more you feel unsure about, it can be interesting to look at it, just to be like, okay, that's interesting. But you don't want to overreact too much, because actually, I'll give one example of how like I used 17 lands data, I believed it, and then I turned against it. Was an Edge of Eternities. It gave Cryogen Relic like absurd data. Like Cryogen Relic was would it be like one of the top uncommons in the set by win rate. But I was drafting it really high, and then I was like getting lower on it because I realized that like Cryogen Relic it performs much better. Like if you don't have synergy to support it, if you're just playing a naked Cryogen Relic, the artifact, if you remember it, that I guess everybody knows that card. Like that card's
and leaves.
yeah. That card was like everybody's like, oh, that card's insane. 17 lands is saying it's insane. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick it like it's one of the best uncommons. But what I realized is that it doesn't you need to actually work to get juice out of it. Like if you're not building, like if you're just playing it naked in your deck, it's good, but it's not like one of the best uncommons. It would just be like a really good common. And I realized that it was kind of hard to build around it because it was hard to get I just got lower on it because I'm like, if a card is one of the best cards in the set, uh, like I guess what I'm saying is like I realized like there's times I would draft a deck with Cryogen Relic and I didn't get the synergy for it, and then like the cards that I picked really high picks on were the Cryogen Relics, and then my deck just didn't work that well because it was just like a blue-red deck and I didn't have like enough synergy for the relics, and then I moved lower on it even though supposedly the win rate was high, just because I became aware that like, okay, I feel like on Arena people who draft relics can just get whatever fantasy deck they want, but in a pod draft I'm not going to get all the synergy, like I'm not going to get the perfect Cryogen Relic deck. I guess what I'm saying is that like I think a really big part of evaluating the power of cards is how much effort do I have to put to make this card work. So like that's what I was saying, like a card like Lightning Bolt or Express takes like zero effort to make good. You just take it and you don't even think about it. But a card, so this is an example here, like Wingblade Disciple does take some effort. Like if you like there are decks that you can be like, this is not a good Wingblade Disciple deck, so it's gonna take some effort to use, where Sig Appraiser is just always good. So then you'd have to make the thing, do I believe that Wingblade Disciple is enough better than Sig? Because like I feel like Sig is more versatile than Wingblade. Like I take Sig and I have to put, you know what I mean? There's zero picks that I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, this card's good with Sig. You know what I mean? Whereas like Wingblade, it's gonna be like, okay, maybe I want this one drop that's a worse card because it's good with Wingblade or whatever. So
I think there is
yeah,
some synergy with Sig's ability to bin a card into the graveyard. Because this set has, in green, it has a mechanic that allows you to exile creatures from the graveyard to put counters on a creature in play. And then there's also the Harmonize.
There's no okay. There's synergy with Sig, but what I mean is like compare like relative to weight. Like there's not gonna be like if you have a blue deck with a bunch of blue lands, like you're gonna play Sig and it's gonna be pretty good. Obviously, like there's situations like if your 3-drop slot is like you have too many 3-drops or whatever, something like that. But what I mean is like if you take Sig, you don't really it's just gonna be good in your deck. You don't really worry about it. Kind of like Lightning Bolt, I feel like. Wingblade, it's not that much. Like it's not that hard to build around it. It's not that hard to get Flurry. But it is, there's definitely like decks where it won't be like as effective in. Like if you're like a 4-color dragon deck, for example, I feel, or like let's say you're a multicolor dragon control deck, I feel like Sig will be better than Wingblade Disciple.
Yeah.
But you can make this. You can argue if you're like, oh, if I'm a Jeskai Flurry deck, then Wingblade Disciple is better than Sig. Obviously, Sig's going to be good in a Flurry deck. I guess that's where like not to go too deep on 17 lands, but that's where you could like click on like I could look at like I guess I can look on Wingblade's win rate and be like, okay, what's Wingblade's win rate in Jeskai decks and what's Disciples, just to compare the ceilings of the card. So let me see if it even has that, because I guess it's 3-color combination, so it's weird. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, wow, it's yeah. So Wingblade, dun dun dun. Okay, yeah. There's nothing that crazy when I click on the difference of them. Anyway, so I guess I just want to say here that like I would have yeah, like I could see taking Sibsig higher because I think it's a more versatile
Makes sense.
card than powerful. But you know, it's not like I could believe Windblade is a better pick. But that was most of my arguments. And yeah, I agree. I feel like it's between those two cards just because they're like good cards and they don't ask you that much of you. So, like you were saying, the Dragon Hunt and the other black card they ask way more of you. The rare is kind of yeah, not a good rare, and you know I don't really want to take a Banishing Light over a good, you know, 2 for 1 or whatever. So yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
can keep going in the draft. I don't know if there's anything you want to add on
And
that.
yeah, so I actually kind of want to go through this draft. I haven't gotten the chance to really look at 17 lands, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to rely on that in Lorwyn. So I
Okay.
kind of want to move away from 17 lands for the rest of the picks if possible. But there is just one funny thing that I thought, which I just wanted to point out, which is this white card here, Duty Beyond Death. This is a card that goes in what I consider to be a very good deck in this format, the red, white, or black, white aggressive decks. And I don't think this card's very good in those decks. I actively try to not play it when I do draft those decks. And if you look at the card, it's got a game in hand win rate that's a percent lower than the game not seen win rate,
Yeah.
which
So
is
it
funny.
yeah, it implies that it's yeah lowering the win rate when you draw it. Yeah, I mean, I guess what yeah, I won't talk about 17 lanes that much, but like the one reason I want to bring it up is because like if I'm claiming Sibsig is a better card than a Disciple, it's always interesting to look at 17 lands and see which one has a better win rate or whatever. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up because I don't want to just be like yeah, Sibsig is a better card. Let's look at the context of why I'm you know saying that. Anyway, but yeah, we can go to that next pick. Uh,
All
yeah.
right. So let's see. So the next pick here, what we have is a couple of uncommons that go well with the Wingblade Disciple, and then some just like good commons as well. And you know this Kara Goldkeeper is also a strong uncommon that's potentially not in the right deck for the Disciple.
Yeah, so I mean, I one way that I use to help me when I'm like looking at a pack and there's a lot of options. You know, you can't do it online as much, but in paper, you know, I just like to drag all the cards that I'm even considering picking to the front because like you're looking here, you're seeing so many cards, so it's kind of distracting. So you can kind of pivot. Okay, what are even the reasonable considerations here? And it's probably like both the exiles, you know, out of the commons. Like it's probably only the exiles that you consider probably, and then you look at the uncommons, and it's like okay, like all right, yeah, and then you look at the uncommons. Well, I don't know. I remember people used to freak out that Mardu Devotee was super good, but it's not the best. Was the Wingblade anyway? And yeah, then you have the Sultai one. I mean, probably you know it's not even that good, and it's tricolor, so whatever. Then there's the Quarry Mountain, the Inspired Vanguard, the summons. I could yeah. So like yeah, like did you think it was kind of like was there any card that stood out to you as way better than the others, or were you just like this is kind of close? What you know? What were you thinking here?
I thought it was kind of close between the Blue Exhale, the Stalwart, and the Reverberating Summons, but the Exhale and the Stalwart, I feel like Wingblade Disciple might not be absolutely maximized with. And while Reverberating Summons is a generally weaker card than these other two, I think it can make for a more synergistic deck. So that's why I picked the Summons.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Here we already see the creeping effects of the synergy cards. If imagine if we had Sibsig Appraiser, we would just be like, oh yeah, Sibsig, Dispelling Exhale, you know, no care in the world. But now we have to consider the synergies. Not that that's always a bad thing, because sometimes I mean you do want to take the good uncommon so that you can build around them. Anyway, I would say that Reverberating Summons. Let me see, is that the card you said you took? It is a card that like I think it reads better than it plays. It's actually like
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure, but like okay, I'm not gonna try and mention 17 lands that much, but it has like really bad data, even though it looks like a good card. And I think it's you know it can be a solid card. Um, yeah, it's like right because when I was playing sealed, it was actually like pretty good against me sometimes in sealed. So and it like reads like a strong card, but it like uh, you know, like early in the set, it would be hard to assess. Like this is where, like, let's say it was Lorwyn and it's 1 week. It's like, okay, you read summons, you read it, and you're like, I think this card's good because I mean, let me just read the card again because it has a lot of text in my head. let me see. At the beginning of each combat, if you get 2 more spells, it becomes a 3/3. Discard your hand. So yeah, like you read this card and you're like, okay, it's kind of pushed on rate because it's kind of like a 2 mana. Sometimes it's a 3/3, and then I can later on I can sack it to draw cards. So you're like, okay, I think it's kind of a good uncommon, and it works with my Wingblade Disciple. So seems reasonable to take. And then the only way you'd assess it is like when you play the deck after you draft the deck, you'd be like, okay, when I was reverberating summons good for me, when you play it, because it's good with like it's cheap, it's good with flurry, whatever. But then yeah, the other cards in the pack, there's the red white card, and you're like, okay, maybe it's red white, it's too much for pick one. I don't want to move that in. There's the green Vanguard, but it doesn't mix the best with the Wingblade, and maybe it's not even that exciting. I mean, I would say if it was me, I would probably take the blue counterspell because I feel like it lets us stay in blue, and it's like I think the blue counterspell might even be the best card in the pack. Not 100% sure, but like I think it's reasonable to say the blue counterspell might be the best card in the pack, and it's on color. Because like I'm not that excited to take the white like the other cards that early. Like I don't think these are like the best uncommons, basically. But obviously, yeah.
If your pick one was the Sibsig, would you consider the Goldkeeper there? Just because I think Sultai is a like particularly good deck for splashing. If you want to splash into one of the other triomes too, play 4 or 5 colors. I think this card's good for that too because it makes the treasure, and the Sibsig could bin it if you see it early.
The problem with that is I think that Sultai Dragon's like probably one of the worst dragons because like it's hard to cast, it's kind of small, it's kind of weird to get value from. Like you need to like exile, like escape it. I would just say I'm not that high on that Sultai Dragon, and I am kind of high on this counter spell is like one of the best counter spells in draft sets they've had in recent years. Not that it's insane, but it's just like they print like a quench in every single set, and they're usually pretty good. And this is just like one of the best quenches because it's like sometimes it's a counter 4. Yeah. So I would probably just take it, the 2 drop. And also not to go like too much on like because it's kind of like an asinine point, and I'm usually against it, but like what LSV and those guys say, take the cheap cards. Like there's a 2 drop and a 4 drop. Like I guess one thing I'll say about 2 drops is I really value 2 drops. The thing about cheap cards for me is I really want cheap cards that are good late in the game. Like if I see a grizzly bear, I'm not gonna be like, oh, take the cheap card. It's a grizzly bear. But if it's a 2 drop, like I think 2 drops that have utility late in the game have like such high premium because the downside of cheap cards is they're supposed to be bad in the game. But if you can take a 2 drop that's good late in the game, it's just like an insane card. So that's what I really like about the Exile. I like that it's a 2 drop, so it lets me have two mana plays, but it doesn't have the downside of 2 drops. It's just good in the late game. So I would just take that's why I would be like, slamming the counter spell over the dragon. So part of it's the curve reasons too. It's like a Joker card on the curve. But anyway, yeah. So this is pick 3. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I guess the main cards that probably stand out are like Unending Whisper, Blizzard, the Brushmaster, maybe. I don't know, kind of a meme card. Uh, yeah, like what was standing out for you? Yeah.
I I mean, I felt like the Blizzard is just not really a good card with what I've already taken. Like this would be good in a deck with a bunch of globes. The Brushmaster would push me into Jeskai and is also, kind of clunky. I did just take the Whisper.
Yeah, I would say I I might be higher on Blizzard than most people because I played too much Sealed of the set, but this is also the kind of thing where I guess, yeah, okay, I won't mention 17's lands too much, but it's the kind of thing where you can like look on 17 lands and you can get a lot of like let's say you're deciding between Whisper and Blizzard, like that's the kind of thing where there can be a really big delta in the win rates, and then that can like inform the decision. But I definitely agree. I like both those blue cards, and Whisper's kind of nice because it works with the disciple. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, that could trick you too. Let's say Bewildering Blizzard has like a 60% win rate and Whisper has a 50. That's a massive delta. Of course, Blizzard's way better, but if Blizzard is always being played in these big control decks, it's never being played alongside cards like Reverberating Summons. That could kind of really change the evaluation.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say about like that's where it can be useful to like click on the card and it tells you in the different colors how it performs a bit. But one thing I'd say about Blizzard is that like it could be kind of decent in the flurry decks because it like draws you more like yeah, it does it you don't flurry the turn you cast it, but after you cast it you're gonna be able to flurry a lot. And like the -3 text is like kind of nice. Like I guess one thing I will say about like evaluating cards is they actually like print the same cards in every single set, but they change the dial by like 1. So like 5 mana draw 3 is a card that they print in like every single set, and usually it's like kind of good. So this time they made it a 6 mana draw 3, but now you pay an extra mana and you give your creatures your opponents control -3 power. So I guess like I would say is like when I'm like evaluating a card like Blizzard, I'm not even evaluating it from the ground up. I know they have a 5 mana draw 3 in literally every single set, and I know those cards are usually like fine, like they're okay, and yeah, they're fine. So I'm like, okay, what did they do different with this 5 mana draw 3 compared to the one that they have in every single set? Okay, extra mana -3. Okay, that's kind of nebulous because it's like it can be really powerful sometimes, but it's like not obvious how much value that is. But I guess what I was saying is that like I think it has some value in the flurry decks just because like it means that you're gonna like the flurry deck is I guess to go away from 17 lands but into Sam Blackian terminology is you could say
Hmm.
flurry decks. When you say they want to play big games, flurry decks want to play big resource games. Like they want to, like when you play a flurry deck, you want a lot of resources because you need your flurry cards, you need to trigger flurry. You just want to spam spells every turn. So this is kind of, I think it has some synergy in the flurry decks, even though you could say it's not the most aggressive card, but like I'm not gonna say it's as good as Flagian Boros Energy, but it's kind of like a Flagian Boros Energy kind of card. Like it's your top end before you turn the corner. Obviously, it's not that good, but anyway, like that's why I would say I think it has utility in the flurry decks. But yeah, I think Whisper is also fine because Whisper is just a good card, triggers Flurry. You know, if you really want to go in the nitty gritty, you could look at the details. And like, yeah, nothing else seems that exciting in the pack, so might as well take a blue card. None of the other cards seem that exciting to me. So yeah, yeah, you go for the
Yeah.
Whisper.
So I think the Sam Black point you made is pretty important for the way this deck ends up going and kind of fails for me in a sense, where I don't have quite enough high resource stuff. Okay, so this next pick here.
Yeah, I guess one way to also frame that is like I guess not too much, but like sometimes there's like how much like not every deck treats a card that 1-for-1s your opponent equally. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's just part of the flurry deck. Being aware that like you constantly want to trigger flurry, that factors into how you evaluate cards. Like, which is kind of interesting. It makes draw spells better in this deck compared to if you're a Golgari beatdown deck and you're trying to win by just casting big creatures or whatever. But anyway, so let's see. Yeah, so this pick. Okay, so let's see the cards in the pack. Yeah, so like what stands out to you? I mean, I see the Tawny back, I see the uncommon elephant card, which is really good and sealed. Then what else is in here? That equipment doesn't seem that good. There's the Fortress Kingguard, but it doesn't fit the best with your picks, but maybe you would take it. There's Lightfoot Technique, not Twin Bull, not that exciting. Yeah, so yeah, what were you thinking here? Like, I don't know, I'd be looking at like Tawny back and maybe Bellow.
Yeah, I think those are the two best cards here. I like the Bellow just because it's still pretty powerful. I mean, it's kind of like Armada Worm, but it's got, the creatures enter with like a stun counter essentially. Because the 5/5 can tap for the Harmonize.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, I took the Bellow here. The Tawny back does make sense though in this deck because even if I end up not being in green, I could still for 4 mana play a 4/3 that lets me loot away a land, which would be pretty valuable here.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tiny Back's like a bit more versatile, but not as powerful. But yeah, Bellow is really powerful, so I think that's makes sense to take it. If you end up in
Okay.
Teamer, it'll be really good. I mean, it's not the best with reverberating summons in a way. Like that's where you can kind of see it. Like summons might be a bit narrower. Like you kind of have to be, like summons isn't that good in Teamer necessarily, even though it's a red card. That's where you can kind of see like the value of versatility of cards and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. So it's possible this summons trapped me a little bit.
yeah, yeah, that's what you can see in pack one. Like, it's so nice to take cards that are like just versatile because then they just don't influence your picks at all. You're just like, okay, I'm just in blue. I can be blue anything. I don't have to be working on anything. But just okay. So here, let's see. Okay, so
I
yeah,
get a
there's
huge gift. I get a bomb rare for the exact deck I'm playing.
yeah makes sense. Um, yeah. I mean, I would say Frostcliff Siege might not be as insane as it looks, but I don't know. It's hard to. It's obviously hard to evaluate. And they want. I mean, I will say I think those monuments are like really, really good. But yeah, it makes sense to take the siege. I mean, it's kind of granular, but just yeah, maybe just like I like those monuments a lot. Like I guess I wouldn't be surprised if monument could be better, to be honest. But siege is good. I mean, I will say one difference between siege and monument is that if you end up in like a Dragon's control deck, the Monument will be really good. Whereas if you end up in a Dragon's control deck, the Siege won't be that good probably. So like that's again one thing of like versatility versus power. Or like I guess one thing is like, do we have to be, you know what I mean? Do we have to be into a Jeskai aggro deck at this point? Because like, you know, we could still be open to be a control deck because you know Valo is kind of better in a control deck than an aggro deck. But
Mhm.
obviously it's yeah. I guess I was just saying like those cards that might have been a close pick, but obviously I don't know. You know, maybe Siege is just a lot better than I think. But yeah.
It was the Jeskai Monument. Well, the reason why I really like the Siege is because both modes could be relevant here. Giving the Anthem with haste is good with the Disciple, and the whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage, that's going to be good in just an aggro deck that plays a bunch of, low impact but fast creatures.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about the Monument is just like, I mean, I guess it's very format specific to this format, but I think the Monuments can be like very, very good if you're playing like if you're in the Dragon control decks, because like not only are they like tri-lands, so they're like very good at fixing your mana because it's not easy to get tri-lands and like it adds one of each source, but also it's a 2-for-1 because you make the two bird like the making creature modes are quite good. Like it's kind of it's kind of like a 2 mana. Yeah, it's kind of like putting a companion in your hand or whatever. So I would say that like the way like if you frame it on a bigger picture, I would say that the thing is the monuments are like quite important for the multicolor control decks to work because the mana is demanding and they're like quite a good form of fixing. Like whereas the siege might not like. I feel like I feel like the best archetype in this format, or one of the best, is the multicolored dragon control decks, and like the siege might not be as useful in there. And I feel like so again, it's just kind of the same as like the versatility versus power. Like you can say Frostcliff Siege is a more powerful card, but I feel like the Jeskai Monument, based on our start, is probably going to be good in most decks because if you're in Jeskai, obviously it'll be good, and if you're in a Dragon deck, it'll be good. Whereas Frostcliff Siege is mostly good. Well, you could say Teamer. You could say the Jeskai Monument's not good in Teamer, but I guess just the framework I'd be thinking about is like versatility versus power again, where like the Monument might be more versatile and maybe the Siege is more powerful, but not to go into it that much, I guess. And again, this is very specific on how good is Siege actually, because like I guess I didn't think Siege is necessarily that good of a bomb rare, but I'm not sure. Obviously, it's a one rare. It's not like I played with it that much. So like again, if like Siege, if you replace Siege with like a really like I don't know Vivi or like some really good blue red bomb rare, then then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh yeah, you should take the bomb rare because it's such a good bomb rare. So I guess a big part of my analysis is like I was just like not 100% sure if I felt Siege was that much of a bomb rare, but it's kind of a weird card. So like it can be very
Yeah, it's
good.
definitely a support card, but it supports what I'm already doing. And so I guess my question here is I'm 5 picks into this draft, and I've made some different picks than what you would have made, which put me in much of a just like I know what my deck's going to look like from these 5 picks, what it's likely to look like, and I'm kind of trying to make that happen rather than staying open at this point. So it sounds like I maybe could have just been staying a little bit more flexible. Pick 5, do you think this is a little early to be sort of anticipating what my deck's going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it varies person to person. I do think pick five is like very early. I mean, I would say that personally, I don't. Ideally, I don't want to know what colors I'm in until the second pack because I'll just say very briefly the reason why is in the second pack it's kind of obvious what one color might be open because the second pack it's pretty often you're gonna get past the bomb rare in a color and you just like know that that color's open. Like you know what I mean? Like it's third pick and you get like the best red rare and you're like okay like I mean, obviously it depends format to format, but a lot of the ways, like I would say, like an example of like a clean, kind of like a clean approach is like in the first pack, you're kind of base one color when you're drafting, right? You're kind of like, let's say you have like 7 black cards out of 10 cards total, so you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to be in black. Like I guess I would say after pack one, I kind of want to know one color that I'm in. Like I want to be, and obviously this is different because this is a tricolor set or whatever. But like normally after the first pack, I want to know one color that I'm in. But in the second pack, I want to be looking for my second color because in the second pack, you're usually going to get past obscene stuff because you know what I mean. Like you're going to get past like a bomb rare. Like it's very common. Like it's very common that like it's not hard to imagine. You know what I mean? Like or you know what I mean? Like second pack, that's when you start getting past stuff, and I want to be open and be like, okay, now not only did I get past this insane card, but I know I'm going to get hooked up with that color a decent, at least a reasonable amount. because the two people next to me are not taking it to a degree. Obviously, you can't be 100%. Maybe there was two rares in the pack, whatever. But anyway, so I guess what I'm saying is pack one, I usually just want to know one color. Varies format to format. This format's obviously more multicolor. You can't really
And then
do that.
you want to be open to take the bomb.
Yeah,
And just decide your second color based off of what's open, based off of now you've got different people passing to you.
yeah, and I would say I want to lean into the versatility a lot because I want to. This is what the thing about versatility is like. If I just take the versatile cards early, that means I'm open to taking whatever powerful card is passed to me. Because like if I take all like let's say I just take generically good like I just take generic cards that take zero effort to build around like lightning bolt. Now when I get past the good uncommon like when I get past stuff that requires effort to build around it, then I can start building around it later. But I don't like I want to like yeah I want to kind of general like I value versatility and being open a lot. But it ultimately boils down to just being able to maximize taking the most powerful card from every pack, and like you don't necessarily know what powerful cards like there's a mix because some people will say oh if you know like it's not that you should just always take the more versatile card like I'm trying to think of a good way to put this but like
All else
yeah,
equal,
yeah,
you
like it,
bias towards
yeah,
more versatile.
because exactly like what you saw in pick two. Like in pick two, I would say Dispelling Exile is like a much better card than like Summons or whatever. Or like was like a very good card in the pack. But what you said is true that the Dispelling Exile doesn't play the best in a flurry deck. Like it's not very like if your deck is all flurry cards, counter spells are actually that's again where you can see the subtleness comes up a lot. Like that counter spell is like an amazing card, but if you're an all flurry deck, it's actually almost bad because you're trying to flurry every turn, unless you can do it on their turn, I guess. So, but the thing that's where it shows the versatility. Whereas, like, if I just take Sipsing Appraiser, I don't even need to care about that. I can just wait and lean in. But yeah, so I would say I tend to try and stay open like a lot, just so that I can. Because also, like, the thing is, I feel like the first five picks, like, if I had to give like one random draft advice to anyone, I would say like literally your first 5, 6 picks, just take the best card and don't even think about whatever any of your context is. Like, because I would almost view it like because you're actually the signals that you get in draft are not in the first picks. It should be in the end of like the real signals happen, I think, at the end of the pack and in the second pack. Because what I mean is like the first few cards you pick, there's just so many good cards in the pack. The fact you're getting past a good card, pick 3, pick 4, doesn't really mean that much because there was just so many good cards. But when it starts becoming like when it's like pick 8 and there's a good Boros card, it's like okay, like that's kind of I'm getting kind of a good you know what I mean? Like late in the pack, like it's pick 9 and there's just like a good black common and you're like, okay, I guess nobody took this good, like now I can get this good black common late or whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is I feel like a lot of this, like when you're paying attention to signals, the first few picks, it's very hard to get any information because even pick 3, let's say pick 3, you take like a very, very good, blue rare or whatever. These days there's like 3 rares per pack or whatever. So I guess the TLDR of what I'm saying is it's like, I feel like I don't know what's open in the first 5 picks. People are there's just broken cards in every single pack. And I'm kind of trying to lean more into like, what are the good cards I'm getting late in the pack? Because that's when I feel like late in the pack, there'll be 3 cards left, and one of them is good, and if I can get value out of that, that's huge. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say there. But yeah, I guess we're looking at this pack. I don't know if there's anything you want to add there. I mean, that's a very like that you could talk for hours about like how how long should he stay versatile or whatever. So
Yeah, so basically my thought was so I had watched a Max Mick video called Drafting with Your Deck in Mind, and so I was very aggressively trying to take the best cards for my deck rather than the best cards in general, and it sounds like that's something that I need to be doing later in the draft. And the first few picks don't have that
yeah,
mechanic.
exactly. Like what I would say is that like that's what like when it's pick one, pack one. Literally, the only decision you have is like, what's the best card? I take it. And then when it's the last pick, the more picks you have, the more content, the more you know what your deck is missing. So that's basically why. When you only have 5 picks, you don't know what your deck is missing because you don't know what your deck is. You're just taking the best cards. But then when it's pick 2, pack 2, pick 3, that's when you're like, okay, like when it's pack 3, like I can give an example at the last PT. I think it was pack 3 or pack 2, and I had the choice between that there's that Eldrazi rare, the Vestige. You know that card is like the 7/5 or whatever.
Yeah.
There was that card at Orbital Plunge. And I took the Orbital Plunge, and I didn't even think it was close because I had so much context on what my deck needed. Like it wouldn't have even been close. Like if you took the Eldrazi, it would have been like a horrible pick. But like, it's just like this. Like I mean, I don't. I guess I can give quickly why it was because like some people were like, oh, how do you take it? The reason why, just to very quickly, is just is that my deck was like a red. It was like a red black control deck, so I didn't have any permanents to put in play. Was the vestige like part of that Eldrazi vestige is that like it put you warp it on turn 4 and you put something in play. I literally had nothing to put in on turn 4 in play. And also, my deck already had a bunch of 6 drops. Like I had, there's like a 6 mana Baneslayer Angel. I had 3 of those. So like I really wanted to like anyway. So and I had like no removal. Anyway, so basically what I mean is like obviously pick one pack one. It would be insane to take plunge over to the Eldrazi. The Eldrazi is so much of a better card. But since it was pack 3 and I had enough cards to know what my deck was missing, then I could take the plunge. And that's kind of what I would say about limited. Because sometimes people will be like, they'll have tension. They're like, oh, this card's so much better. Am I allowed to take it? And they would say, well, it depends how much, what is my deck missing? And obviously earlier in the draft, you don't know what your deck's missing because you only have 5 cards. You have 20 cards to fill out the deck. And later in the draft. So that's part of why I value the versatile cards early, because then I'm open to they're kind of like Joker cards in poker or whatever. Like you just take them, they're going to be good in your deck, and you don't need to put effort. And then later you can start being like, okay, I need to get the whatever cards I'm missing. So that's kind of how I'd look at it too. Yeah, like later in the draft, you know what you're missing. Earlier in the draft, you're taking whatever. And it's probably one of the most nebulous things in draft is when do I flip the switch? When do I start drafting towards my deck, right? Like, because like let's say you take a black. Yeah, when do you take a black card pack one, pick one? Let's say there's 5. There's blue black, there's blue white, there's blue red, there's blue green. They all want different cards, and you can't just take a blue card pack one and be like, okay, I'm in blue green, I want the blue green cards. Like you kind of need to take the blue cards, and then like maybe somewhere between pack 2, maybe that's like in pack 2. Then you're like, okay, now I'm blue green, now I'm drafting towards blue green. Although obviously it depends. Like maybe you're like. Maybe it's just for some reason like you just sometimes you just have to be white black. Like let's say you're drafting and you just like take a white card, take a white card, take a black card, take a black card, get past the white black rare, get past the white black uncommon. Like okay, probably just have to force white black at that point, and you can just draft. Like even though you're only 6 picks in the pack, you're just gonna draft white black. So it depends when you move into the archetype. But like I would say like on average, like you probably I don't want to know what archetype I'm in until like pack 2. It depends on the format too. It does depend on the format. Some formats, this is actually a concept I think Sam Black and Max Mick talk about. At some formats, you have to know when to move it earlier, and other formats, you can wait till later. And so it's a format by format thing too.
Okay, yeah, and I wonder what Lorwyn is, because Lorwyn's going to be based off of the 5 creature. The shocklands that they spoiled correspond with like Merfolk as blue white, Elementals as blue red, red black goblins, black green elves, and green white Kithkin. So I wonder how much crossover there's going to be. How much the set's going to be like, oh, you need to play Merfolks with Merfolks, or no, actually Merfolk and Kithkin have a lot of cross synergy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the fastest way to look at it. The last time I probably had a set like that was Bloomborough, and Bloomborough is a very weird draft set. And I would say one of the key things is like how much like how versatile, like yeah, I mean I'm using versatile a lot, but like how versatile are the cards? So like one of the things about Bloomborough is a lot of the creatures were only good in their kind of decks. Like there was like a lot, or I guess a lot of the cards were like bad abstractly, but good in their specific deck. So like there would be like random like there was a lot of the mouse commons, and there were like I guess like yeah like and like there were cards that were like not very good. Like I remember there was a 4 mana mouse, and it was just like not a good card. But if you were in the right red white mouse deck or whatever, then it was a good card. So like you kind of did have to know what to get into early, because most of the cards were not very good, but they were good if they were in the right deck. Like I guess like a quick example was like and this was one of the more versatile cards. There was a 2 mana squirrel that made food, and and everybody said, oh yeah, that's a really good green common, but like it was really good in the decks that you made value use the food, and it was not as good in. So it's kind of like that. I would be thinking, like okay, like and especially with bad cards. Like one of the things about Bloomer was so many of the creatures just seem bad, but then if you got them in the right deck, they had value. So like when I'd be looking at the cards, like a Merfolk, I'd be like, okay, is this Merfolk good in all the blue decks? Or, is it only good in specific decks? Like a good example in Final Fantasy is Sahagin. Sahagin was like insane in blue-red, pretty good in blue-black, and it was okay in blue. I mean, you could play it in blue-green or blue-white. That's what I would be thinking. I would be thinking about the versatility of the cards when analyzing them. And like Sahagin's a card, if I like that you have to move in kind of earlier into the Sahagin stuff or whatever. So it depends on the format. I mean, yeah, probably the Bloomberg, like this, probably the Lorwyn set, if it's like Bloomborough, you're probably going to have to move it earlier. Because, like I was saying, in Bloomborough, most of the cards were bad but synergy based, in my opinion. So it kind of depends. Like, it'll depend like on a lot on the commons. Although one thing that's weird these days is that there's so many uncommons and rares compared to commons that you don't even need to like that like the commons aren't as impactful to deciding everything. Like how good are the uncommons actually does matter in the draft format too. Stuff like that, which are kind of I guess specific to the formats at hand, I guess. But yeah, I mean as far as the commons go. Yeah, I haven't looked that much at the spoilers. I mean some of these cards look interesting. Yeah. Okay, so yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they look interesting in the sense that they've spoiled some powerful stuff. But what I was looking for is which of these actually care about you being with the same creature type, and the only one is the Ashling's Command. This one asks you to have an elemental. All of the other cards here are actually a little bit more generic, like these elementals, this Bitterbloom Bearer. Like, who cares if you're in a fairy deck or an elves deck? That's just a powerful engine. And then this Ashling Rekindled makes you mana to cast spells value 4 or greater. So that's nice because it's a synergy with, not necessarily a creature type. So that could potentially have good things to do with it with, any colors.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if they go too far on the, tribal synergies. When they did Bloomborough, even though it was the most tribal set possible, it was actually not that much. They had cross synergies, like they had Bat Wizards, they had Owl Elves or whatever. So I would be surprised. I think if they just make Merfolk an archetype, it's kind of boring. An archetype, so they're probably not going to go too hard on that. Like if I had to guess, they're going to copy what they did in Blueburrow a little bit, where they're going to do like fairy elves, they're going to do like you know what I mean, they're going to do like whatever, so that like you can take an elf card and it could be good in two decks rather than just one deck, or like the Merfolk, they're going to do Merfolk elementals or whatever. Like I imagine they're going to have a lot of double types if I had to guess, and they're not going to do that
Yeah,
many build arounds. They're going to that are as explicit. They're going to be more like a cohesive theme. Like Bats was kind of a life gain deck, but life gain you didn't need to be all Bats to have life gain. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if it's like that. Like maybe Elementals is for spells, but you don't need
or
to be.
changeling.
Yeah, yeah, that card's nice.
So I don't know if they'll have like, merfolk elf like cross creature types, but they've got plenty of changelings that they can use. That kind of fills the cross creature type role.
Yeah. Yeah. So then there's this pick here.
Let's
I
maybe
know
go a
it's
little faster on this one.
yeah,
So I thought there was nothing that was particularly strong here. The Monastery Mentor and Martyr Devotee are the best commons, and then the Falls is obviously just
yeah. I like the land a
and
lot. Yeah,
yeah.
I would probably take the land. Yeah, Sam Black has a rule for when he takes lands, and he says he usually tries to take lands like above like average commons, but below like good commons. Obviously, it's contextual, but I think that kind of can help decide. Yeah, I mean, I would say here. I mean, I feel like the Jeskai Monument's like a very good card. I would say, but I feel like the Riverwalk's kind of average, so I might take Jeskai, even though I mean, I guess we're not necessarily Jeskai, but I mean, we have two green cards. Um, but I guess you take Jeskai. I mean, I would say for it's specific to a three color set, but like mana's really bad and limited, so like the mana fixing is like very like if you compare Jeskai Monument, it's like probably I think it's better than like the Triomes. Like I think it's a better card than the Triomes
Oh wow.
basically because I mean the 2-for-1 element's like really good because I kind of think of it as like it's 2 mana, but it like 4 mana make 2/1/1s is like not that bad. I mean I don't know how bad that sounds, but like it's free. I
That's
don't know how to.
smart.
Yeah, it's like a
And you want
companion.
cards. One of them's what you need, which is exactly the right basic, and one of them is just sort of a, crappy common.
Yeah, but the thing, like, the reason why it's good, I guess, is it's at blocking. Because, like, okay, it makes 2/1/1s. That doesn't sound that good. But what if your opponent plays a 4/2? And now you're literally just blocking, like, you're literally blocking their 4/2 that they paid 3 mana for nothing. You know what I mean? That's where it's good. Or, like, they play a 3/1. Like, let's say they have a 3/1 in play, and then you just, that's why it's better than it seems. That's why I think the Monument is better than a Triome. But, yeah, anyway, because it's just a 2-for-1, whatever. And it's also good if you're flooding. Like, it's like, yeah, anyway, so, but yeah, we can keep going. Uh,
Okay, so I
yeah.
did take the Riverwalk, but I believe the Monument's a good pick here, better pick. And then I get this one. So I really like the opportunity to get utility lands because they don't count as, a card in the deck. So even if the utility is not that good, I'd much rather have that over like a replacement level
Oh,
like
yeah.
Bellringer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is kind of a broken land too. Like, I wouldn't even consider the Bell Ringer. I would be only looking between the blue white and the red land. But yeah, this is kind of like a bomb land. Like, it shouldn't be going this late probably. Uh, it's like one of the best utility lands. I mean, it's like it's not even just a good one. It's like an amazing
Right.
one. It's probably the best
But
utility land in the set.
even if it was much less good, I would still be happy
Yeah.
taking it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see considering taking the blue white land just because like maybe you'll move in Jeskai, but again, then it's just between two utility lands basically, kind of. Uh, yeah, and then
Yeah.
like it depends how good it is. Like for example, the blue one is obviously like pretty bad and limited. Mistrise Village. I mean, you barely even consider that a utility land. Anyway, and yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, I mean, I imagine you probably. So what's yeah, you probably can't take a white black card because like Esper's not really a thing, and you're too deep in blue. Like if you're like the thing about the white black land, I would say briefly is that like if you were like entertaining playing like a fork like a dragon control deck, then you could consider taking the barons. But like obviously all the commons are pretty bad. Like you could take the devoted duelist. Like all these cards are pretty like these are all like pretty bad basically. Like probably the best common is the Abzan devotee, but you're not going to play black probably. So yeah, but I would say like yeah, because four color control is like a prominent archetype in the format. I could see taking the white black land. But otherwise, yeah,
Okay.
there's
I guess I was sort of at this point, I'm going, okay, I'm building the blue red aggro deck and I'll figure out what to splash if I even splash later. And so I took the duelist to go with the siege. I think the underdogs is probably better than the duelist generally. It's probably got better 17 lands data, but the duelist fits the deck and the curve.
yeah, yeah. The underdog seems
And
kind of sketchy to me. And then yeah, I mean, this is here like this might be like a weird thing to say, but here I'd be thinking, wow, people are not taking lands high enough. I'm just going to be four color control. Uh, yeah. I would say I feel like these lands are like pretty good commons. Like I say, I'm black saying like they're like better than average commons. Obviously, you don't know if you can play them or not. I mean, makes sense. I don't. A wild ride could be good in like a flurry deck, whatever. He's a card that people, lose their heads over. They think it's really good. So there's like not just one good card in the pack, but that's just like a small thing I noticed. Like if it was me, I would be like, wow, Dragons is open. Like nobody's taking these lands. I'm just getting free lands. One second, my audio went out. Let me try and fix it really quick.
Stop me if you want.
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah, my audio just was out for a minute. Now like it's working. I got it working again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
Well,
missed whatever
stop
I
me
was
if you
saying
have
for
any
20
comments on
seconds.
these, but I'm kind of just taking the obvious card for the blue red deck, and at this point, I'm just getting fed in this pack one. Lots of cards that are, not amazing, but just fit the deck I wanted. I wheeled a lot of the things I was hoping to
Yeah.
wheel.
I mean, I would say one way that I analyze cards is I kind of divide them into three categories: average, below average, above average. And I would say that like I'm
Hmm.
pretty critical on any card I consider below average. And obviously it varies on the deck. But I would say like some of these cards that like technically fit in Jeskai, like the Bell Ringer, the Duelist, I consider these cards to be below average cards, and I really don't view them as like I view them more as like, oh, I'm like it fluctuates depending on how good the card is. But I'm not like, oh, I'm in Jeskai and this card's a Jeskai card, so happy to play it. I might be a little bit more like, okay, this card, is a bit below average, and that's also kind of why I was like freaking out about the lands because I'm like, okay, these lands I think are like above average cards, and I feel like they shouldn't be going this late, so I can just move into four color whatever. But I guess that's one thing with the Bell Ringer. Like, yes, it's a Jeskai card, but like is it really that good in Jeskai? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's better than I think, but like that's what I'd be thinking. I'm not gonna pull up 17 lines too much, but it has like quite bad win rate data if you pull it up.
Yeah, the card's definitely below average.
So, and obviously you could be like, okay, what if I'm exactly in Jeskai, exactly the perfect deck for it? Then it does get better for sure. But also, again, that's because I'd be like, I'm in pack one. Like, I feel like that's kind of a card that I'd be. I mean, obviously it's the end of the pack, right? So you don't really have a lot of options, right? It was like literally the only card in the pack. But like, I think when I hit
Yeah.
like 17 lands, like the data, it's like not to mention it too much, but it's like let's say 55% is the average card. It has like 54% in like Jeskai and like 50% outside of Jeskai. So it's not like 17 lands understands it's a better card in Jeskai, but it's still saying that it's still not that good to draw even in Jeskai. But obviously it's contextual. It could be good if you have enough, you know, if you have enough stuff to discount whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, I don't know. I mean, we can go for a few more minutes, or I don't know if you wanted to go for longer for lunch's hour, but it's almost been an hour already, actually.
Yeah, it has. And honestly, for your video and just for the sake of going through the whole draft, I kind of wanted to get through the whole draft. So I mean, maybe I mean, I could do another like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I have time. Yeah, we can keep going here. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess you're probably gonna take Frostcliff Siege. Um,
Yeah.
obviously
And
here, yeah.
so, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say like often when I review draft logs with people, like sometimes we will review. I guess maybe I could say like sometimes the picks we review the most are like the first like like pack or pack and a half, because like after that stuff starts becoming a bit more like on rails sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's like okay, well now you have to take that because of this or whatever. Like I guess the more we move into the pack, yeah, the deeper we get into the draft, the more stuff will be like okay, you have to take that because you just obviously that's what you're looking for. Yeah, I mean, I guess here it's kind of interesting. There's like a couple rares that are good, I guess, and a whisper.
Yeah, I thought this was one of the more interesting picks in the whole draft.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So what you were thinking between the two rares, mostly, or
Well,
anything else?
actually, also the Mammoth Bellow. So what I'm thinking here is I can really decide what I want to be on this singular pick. So if I take the Magmatic Hellkite, I have the opportunity to be straight blue red, and there's no reason for this deck to be in Jeskai or Teamer based off of what I already have. And the blue red deck is not a deck I've ever drafted before, and I was interested in seeing how that works out. But then if I'm willing to, go into white, Voice of Victory is probably the strongest card here, but it is a little awkward splashing a 2-drop. And then the Mammoth Bellow is just, okay, well, then I'll, try to pick up some more teamer fixing and play blue red splashing the green.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that like I would be already kind of skeptical of Voice of Victory because yes, this card's good. A lot of like people might be freaking out because it's a good card in modern, or I mean I don't even know, it's played in modern or whatever. But when you read Voice of Victory, part of why it's good, or like Voice of Victory might have the best data, but a big part of its value is the Mobilize 2, and you have like almost no synergy. I mean, okay, I guess Frostcliff Siege, maybe that's not true. Frostcliff Siege's synergy was Voice of Victory. But what I mean, like Mobilize is really like a Mardu kind of a thing, not really a Jeskai thing. Like Jeskai decks are not using Mobilize that well. So you're already not using it the best. You know what I mean? Like Voice of Victory is going to be the best probably in a Mardu deck, not a Jeskai deck. And like you said, you don't really have any Jeskai cards. Like you have one Jeskai card, so like you're basically blue red. Uh, I mean for me, I would probably slam the Hellkite for like a couple of reasons. Again, this is format specific, but it's a dragon. Dragon is like pretty valuable in this format. Like I don't know, like any card that's a dragon already gets like quite a bit of bonus value because of all the exiles and stuff. And because although the Hellkite's just great, like it's just a great card. Like if you're playing Teamer, it's great. It's good with Frostcliff Siege. You don't have any 4-drops so far, or you don't have a lot of 4-drops. So yeah, I would just slam that. Okay, next pick. Because yeah, there's like no reason to really take the Bellow when you can just take a good red card. So yeah, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you think this pick was close between stuff. I mean, yeah, there's the Storm Root, but you don't have green, but it's still okay. What else is here? There's this weird.
Teamer Tawny Brack and Windscarred Crag and the Stormbrood seem like the three best. Kingguard's a great card, but not for this deck. Boltcaster is only good if you have Mobilize, which I don't.
Yeah, and even then,
So
it's like you know probably similar power level to Tawny back, to be honest. Um, Caustic Exile is obviously the best card in the pack, but Grixis
yeah.
isn't really a thing that you probably can do. That would be maybe if you're like in 4-color dragons, you'd consider it, but then even then you'd probably take the Windscarred Crag. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it seems like I feel like Tawny back, like the considerations would be like, do I feel like I'm going to be low on playables? Then like Tawny back might be better. Like Windsguard Crag is a more powerful card than Tawny back, but you're like less likely to play it. Stormbrood, you don't really have any dragon cards, so I don't know like how much of the value comes from the Omen, but yeah, I mean taking Stormbrood seems fine too, I guess. Um, it's
Yeah.
hard, like it's not obvious how to evaluate this card to me, but I guess it's kind of good, so seems fine to take it.
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't like the Stormbrood in the deck, but oh well.
it's definitely gets a lot better the more like it's the more dragons you have. Like if you have Dragon Storm Globes, like that's the like yeah, here the Sonic Shrieker, this card's insane. Just like one of the best uncommons of the set for the dragon deck. There you can see it right there. Okay, let's see what else is in the pack. Yeah, I mean there's actually a lot of exciting picks in here. There's actually like kind of four cards that are good in blue red. So yeah, were you decide like did you think it was obvious between them? Or
I thought Narset's Rebuke, Iridescent Tiger, and Unending Whisper were all good cards for my deck, and I thought nothing else necessarily was.
yeah, that makes sense. And Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you probably have to take one of the 5-drop ones because like you kind of want like more beef. Like you already have a lot of like Frostcliff Siege is air, so I'd probably take the Tiger, the Rebuke. I do like the Serpent, but obviously I think these 5-drops are the red ones are just way better cards. So,
Yeah, they have the double spell.
yeah, like I could see,
Okay,
yeah, I could see taking the Narset, the other Narset one, but it's like pretty close, I guess, between which one's better. They're both really good. Maybe
agreed.
this 3/4 is
So
better.
this is now the pick that I think I messed up the most in the entire draft.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's probably just between, well, like Molten Exile, Temur Monument. There's randomly a Oblivion Ring,
Mhm.
but like you don't have a lot of white. I mean, it's just, yeah, you're just deciding between Monument and Exile.
Yeah. And so given what I've got in this deck so far, what do you think's a good pick?
You only have one Bellow. I mean, I would
One
probably
Bellow,
like
and I passed
on
the
on the
second.
side, like try and lean up the curve. I mean, I would say when picks are close. I mean, I think it's a close pick. Also, this is one of the better monuments. Like it makes like all the monuments are good, but this is what I mean when the monuments are good. You know what I mean? Like the Jeskai monument makes 2/1/1, so it doesn't look that good. Like
Yeah,
look
this
at
makes
this one.
5/5.
Yeah, it makes a 5/5, so it's actually, you know, the
It's
Jeskai one is
nice.
closer to making a 5/5 than you think. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't like. I would kind of depend on. You'd have to like estimate how many playable cards you have. Like Timber Monument enables you to play the Bellow. I'd be like, okay, how realistic? Like it's only one Bellow, but Timber Monument can even be fine. It's kind of hard because like your a lot of your blue red cards are not necessarily that good in Teamer. Okay, like reverberating summons not that good in Teamer. Like you don't like so it's like okay, am I really gonna do I want to be more Teamer, more Jeskai? Um, I honestly, the more I think about it, I might take the monument because I feel like in this format you really want to be a 3-color deck probably, and I would just try and be like, okay, maybe I'll just try and be Teamer. We don't have like the best Teamer infrastructure. We're a bit more Jeskai, but I think the Exile's pretty good too. Like it's hard to tell, kind of. I just would be
Right.
like a little bit uncomfortable being 2 colors, and I would try and make Teamer work. Um, and I feel like we're kind of
Okay.
far from Jeskai, even though most of our cards are Jeskai, because like we have the Stormwood Falls, and like this would be the same. But I don't know, like maybe Exile's better. It's kind of close. I'm not sure. I think Monument's a better
Yeah.
card though, but like Exile's easier to
So
play.
yeah, I think the Exile is actually the better pick for me here because I'm trying to just be Izzet. Um, I end up switching to the monument at the last second, and then now I just sort of now I make a big mistake where there's a lot of powerful stuff in this pack. Where you've got the Pack Beast, which I think is like one of the best commons in the set. You've got this dragon, which is perfect for my deck. And I don't know what happens here, but I guess I just take a Tawny back because now I go, okay, now I'm going to be in Teamer. So I think I kind of just got a little bit
Yeah, I mean, at least
shaped.
Tallyback's not that bad in blue red. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could make sense. Like I haven't drafted the blue red that much in the format, but it makes sense that you could just be like, okay, I want to move in blue red a bit more. But yeah, this is. I mean, here like if you're moving in Teamer, maybe you have to take the Highlands. Obviously, Sage is pretty good too. Not that much else probably. I mean, I guess it's
Well, so
yeah.
This is actually a really interesting pick for me too, because I'm looking at my Frostcliff
Oh
sieges and I'm
yeah,
thinking I want to make the first mode work. I want to go 2-drop into Frostcliff Siege, and the best creature to do that is this Shock Brigade. So I just moved into Teamer, but now I make a pick that moves me back out of Teamer.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, again, it's kind of hard to evaluate because it's like hard to tell how much like how good that synergy is, how much you're able to build towards that synergy. Because like Frostcliff Siege is kind of a weird card, so it's like, okay, how much can I build towards a blue-red Frostcliff Siege deck versus how much can I build towards a Teamer? Because Frostcliff Siege in my mind is also good in Teamer kind of because Teamer is big creatures to give haste to, like you give haste to
Right.
the Connie backs or whatever. And yeah, and then yeah, here I guess you get trolled because you get Teamer Battle Crier. I mean, Artisan's good too. And also that Arts Carver is like a really good common too, so it's like kind of weird. Like I could honestly, I could see the 3/3 that makes a treasure being better than the Battle Crier, just because it's like will be good in a teamer deck too. Because it like fixes it's like a color, yeah, the Artisan, because like it's well, I would say one thing about splashing in 3-color decks because I play Soup a lot is that like I re- cards that are not good to cast in the late game are like way more awkward to splash. So like the problem with this battle crier is that like when you if you finally get the green source online late game, it's like
It's
it's a
not a
3-color card, but it's
yeah.
better early game. So it's a good card, but it's like worse than it looks probably compared to because you can't really play like yeah it's kind of awkward that it's more of an early game. And the artisan's like not that good, I guess, but it's like it's still kind of like a 2-for-1. Like just pretend it's Fable of the Mirror Breaker, I guess. Yeah, I mean Rebuke's really good.
I don't know if I buy that
Yeah.
one.
But it's
But
like it
anyway, I
helps your
kind of
mana
want to
because like it's just like mana's really really bad and limited. So it's like 4 mana 3/3 prowess make a treasure. It's just like a totally fine card that you can play in your deck that's gonna like help you cast your like help your deck function or whatever. And it's like not that bad with siege because it's like a 4 drop and like it's really yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
I'm like low to the ground aggressive deck, so like a 4 mana 3/3 make a treasure is not at its best here. I just kind of want to turbo through the rest of
yeah
this draft quickly so we can kind of get to the end to the build, which I thought was interesting. I took a Humbling Elder with the idea that that's just a creature that can
yeah
attack with the siege,
yeah
and then the next couple of picks were
yeah.
maybe not anything. I don't
I
know.
mean, I do think the treasure card is like better in an aggro deck. Is can be good at fine in an aggro deck. Like not the best in Mardu, but in like specifically blue red, it could be because it helps you like flurry. It has prowess. It's like a card that your opponent doesn't want to use remove. It's like hard for your opponent to block, and it's hard for them to use removal on. Like if they use removal on it, you're like, okay, I made a treasure, and it's hard for them to block it because it's big and it has prowess. So I think it like is not that bad in an aggro deck, but obviously it's kind of
I
whatever.
can see that I undervalued that. So anyway,
Yeah.
I get to a pack that has some, not actually that strong Jeskai cards. It's got this insane bomb storm regent that I can't play, and it's got the duel for me, so easy pick.
Yeah, I mean that Jeskai rare is really good, but obviously you're like pretty far from playing it. The one that like copies a spell or whatever. Okay, well yeah, there's Riverfront Sweep. What else? I mean Riverfront Sweep's like kind of a broken card.
Wait, what card?
River Wheel Sweep.
Oh, so Riverwheel Sweep could have been a good one. I did take the Stormbrood.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of hard because it's blue red, but I think the Sweep is kind of like a broken card because it's like you kind of like how many stun counters is it? Like 3 or something ridiculous.
Great.
So it's just like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you tap their guy for 3 turns and you get a cantrip. So, but that's just like a card value. I think this brood is like kind of worse than it looks. But yeah. Anyway, we can obviously it's
But
good with siege though. Yeah, sorry.
even if I don't have any white in my deck, the sweep's still
Yeah,
good at 4 mana.
that's kind of why it's a broken card because you only need 2 colors. Like if you're two, it's like a good uncommon in like any 2-color deck because it's just like yeah, it's kind of like a removal spell that like draws a card almost. Um,
Sure.
like you can imagine you top
And
deck it in the mid game and it's just like an obscene. It's like one of the most obscene top decks in the mid game. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, I mean Stadium. I mean Rebuke. I mean yeah. Did you take Devotee because you felt that you need the mana? I mean it's kind of awkward because Rebuke is like a way better card. Um, but
yeah, so at this point, I basically just decide that I actually want to go hard on just being Izzet. We're already into pack 3. I've already got enough playables that this is an Izzet deck. This deck looks strong to me, and I think the Stadium headline would make this go from a medium to a great Izzet aggro deck.
yeah, the headliner makes sense. I mean, I feel like Rebuke and Headliner are definitely by far the best cards, and with the Siege Assistant as
Devotees,
the headliner. So
yeah, Devotees fixing but bad with Siege.
yeah, I feel like Devotee is what I would call like a slightly below average card. Meanwhile, Rebuke and Headliner are both like slightly above average cards, and I'd much rather take the above average than the below average
Well,
cards.
yeah, but also Devotee is better in a deck that wants to like play dragons, like the five color dragons deck, because then you really need the fixing. And the 3/3 blocker is important because your game plan doesn't involve getting ahead early on battlefield. It involves catching up late. But this deck wants to get ahead early, and having a 3/3 defender is not very useful.
Yeah, definitely this would be one of the worst. But I mean, like even in the best decks, I still feel like Devotee is not that like I feel like it's even not that exciting in the
Sure.
control decks. But yeah, okay, yeah. Here it's funny because there's Soundcrafter Mage. There's
I just keep
Artisan.
getting trolled with these
Yeah.
great teamer
So
cards.
I don't. Yeah, I would.
And I'm
I mean,
like,
I would say I would. Yeah, I'm probably just like I think the Artisan's better than it looks because I don't know if it looks bad, but I think it's like a very playable card, the Artisan or
which
whatever.
card?
The just the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Or,
Oh,
yeah,
honestly, that would have been the pick. I think
yeah.
the artisan
I mean,
here.
again, it
But
varies
anyway,
based on
I
like what
take
your
the
curve and what
mage.
you're missing, but it's like I think the Artisan's better than it looks because it's like a 3/3 prowess is like not yeah it's solid in blue red kind of I guess. So yeah, we
Sure,
can.
sure.
So anyway, we keep
We're
going and here
taking
yeah
on the
there's oh yeah I guess Jeskai
I
Monument and Frostcliff Siege is like Splinter Twin. Does Frostcliff Siege gives
East
haste
Side
too?
Monument and Frostcliff Siege, but also Shock Brigade.
Yeah. Well, the Jeskai Monument, you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, you make 2/1/1s, doesn't sound that good. What if you make 2/2/1 flyers for literally
You
free?
want flyers with haste.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And then
But so
here, yeah.
I end up just completely, I get the Vanguard, which goes really well with the Shock Brigade. So now I've got, a devoted duelist, two Shock Brigades, and a reverberating summons, an Agent of Codas. I've got just like a lot of two drops to go under the siege. And I end up deciding, okay, I'm just going to be the blue red deck. And so here I probably take like a Twin Bolt. Oh no, I have two Twin Bolts already. Doesn't matter
Yeah,
what I
maybe
take here. I don't
contact
think I
that or
take
use
it.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I even take a bell ringer, but it doesn't really matter. Then here, I just take
Rare
nothing, I
draft.
guess.
Wow, the
Play any of
Fable
those.
is so hated.
Yeah, I passed three of them. That's funny.
Yeah.
Nothing, nothing, and the draft's over.
Yeah.
So here is kind of, let me just get to what the deck looks like. Okay, so this is what the deck looks like with all the cards. So I didn't show, we just skipped
Oh,
over a
you got the
pick, but
Karak? What? When did that happen?
I
Last
got
year?
the Carriac as like it was like the 11th, 12th pick.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the best cards in the set. That's funny.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I only have two pieces of fixing. And I look at my deck and I go, oh, this deck is really bad for all of these teamer cards. Like the Right of Renewal might be pretty good, Bellow, Guardian, but the rest of my deck just does not feel like it goes well with the teamer stuff. So I decide, what if I just cut all these teamer cards?
I feel like definitely by far the best one is the Guardian because like you just cast the Guardian, it's good, and like Rite of Renewal's kind of situation. Rite of Renewal is actually probably not that good in your deck because Rite of Renewal this is like kind of a control card. Like what do you get back?
Yeah.
You don't have anything. Your cards are like what are you gonna
Nothing.
get back? A Shock Brigade? Like that's horrible. So Rite of Renewal like this is like not a good deck for Rite of Renewal. I would say like Rite of Renewal Rite of Renewal is good in decks that are trying to 1-for-1 the opponent and then like win the late game and have good cards to get back. Like you don't have that. But the dragon's actually good in your deck because you're just trying to play creatures and kill your opponent, and that's just like one of the best creatures in the format. So maybe I consider splashing that. And the Bellow is a much more like the thing is like you have like if you play green cards, you have to jump through a lot of hoops. At least the Carriac Guardian might be worth considering because like when you cast it, you could just win the game by itself.
Yeah.
And it would kind of depend like how good your mana is overall, whatever, blah blah blah. Like if you have more Swift Water, like the Temur Monument is also kind of like a blue red dual land. Like it's kind of like a super slow dual land in blue red.
So
So like I could you could like consider like playing like one or two forest. Like if you had two of the Karax, like I could see playing like two forests and then you have like four sources and whatever. And yeah, what were you saying?
I could have played the Mammoth Bellow. So I could have played like, let's say I played one forest and my monument and a dual land, because I have the green red dual land, I believe, or the green blue. Um, but that seemed like too little to me, and I felt like my mana would be disrupted too much for two forests. So
Yeah,
this
I
was a
mean,
hard choice whether or not to splash the
yeah.
green for
I mean,
me.
like I would say I think that the whatever that Temur Dragon is like a much better card than the Bell. I mean, the Bellow's quite good, but I would say like in my head, the Bellow's like a 59% win rate card, and the Dragon's like a like I would say like when you cast the dragon, it's it can just like win the game by itself like a good amount of the
Sure.
time. So a lot of times you're just
It's
gonna
a
cast it and it's a bomb. The bellow is like kind of almost a bomb. It's more like an uncommon bomb. Like if you had two of the dragons, I would probably want to splash it. Just because like you're gonna cast it and win. But although here you can see some of the awkwardness. I mean like the bell ringer looks super awkward. You're not really double spelling that much. Part of what's weird about this blue red deck is that if you look at what your blue cards are, it's almost like a mono red deck splashing blue because it's like, okay, what's the payoff for being mobilized in blue red? There's usually not much of a payoff. Here you have Frostcliff Siege, which is like weirdly baiting you into
Yeah.
becoming a mobilized deck. But like blue red does not really want to be a mobilized deck. And you're like, okay, what are the cards actually pulling me into blue? It's like the Wingblade Disciple, you took pack one, pick one. That's like kind of good and go wide, kind of good, whatever. But it's kind of weird. Like if you're like, why am I blue at the end of this? It's like kind of three cards basically, two Frostcliff Siege and a Wingblade Disciple. And then otherwise you're a mono red deck, but a lot of your red cards aren't even like you have shock brigades, which can be good if you build around them, but it's like you don't have that much infrastructure for your shock brigade. Like what do you have that really supports them? It's like Frostcliff Sieges. So like that's kind of like one of the things like I would be noting. But yeah, sorry, what do you want to say?
Yeah, so just talking about the deck from like a high level. So during the draft, I was maybe a little bit too eager to take cards that locked in on an archetype, not staying open enough, and missed the opportunity to play a pretty nice, Jeskai plus Teamer deck with, I could have had like two Jeskai monuments, two Teamer monuments, or excuse me, one Teamer monument, two Bellows, the Krisliak. I could have had a really good four color, no black Dragons deck, maybe even a black one with the scavenger. So the opportunity was there for me to make this powerful thing. But I think the deck as it is worked out pretty well. And I wanted to just ask you what you think the weaknesses of this deck are, and then talk for a minute about how it played out. Because I didn't do very well with the deck. I only went 4-3.
Yeah, I mean like that's basically what I was getting into a bit of the weaknesses. Like I know like if this was the final build, the bell ringer is already kind of giving me like yellow, red flags. I'm like, okay, we're not really double spelling. Like bell ringer is already a bad card, and it's like also bad in next that are double spelling. So it's like really bad here. Like it's like a D or whatever they would say. It's like, okay, we already got D's in our three drop spots. I'm like, Then the other thing what I was saying about Shock Brigade, like the thing about like what yeah, basically that's what I like was most of the points I was saying before is like we're blue red, but it's kind of weird. Like blue red isn't really necessarily a mobilized deck, but the reason why we're drawn into mobilized is because Frostcliff Siege has synergy with mobilized because it's going wide. So what I mean is like we have these shock brigades, and shock brigades are like cards you kind of want to build around. Like you want synergy with the mobilized. So it's like, okay, what is our synergy with mobilized? And it's like two Frostcliff Sieges. So it's like we're
Siege.
not really complete. We're not using the mobilized synergies that well, and we use a lot of picks on these shock brigades. And like shock brigade is a card that's like less powerful but synergistic. But the only synergy we have are these Frostcliff Sieges, and then like we have the spell ringer that's awkward. And then like if we look like again, it's like what are our blue cards? What are the cards that are actually pulling us into blue here? And it's like Wingblade Disciple and two Sieges. Our blue isn't that good. I mean, Riverwalk Technique is obviously fine. Like it's totally playable. Storm Roods, whatever, it's fine. Wesper's fine. But like Humbling Elder, some people like it. Agent of Cordis, pretty, not unexciting. But then like High Blide, that's where I'm like, oh, I don't, I feel bad about that one because I feel like we're really not using it well. And then yeah, like one thing I asked is like, what's pulling me into the color? It's like, what's pulling me into blue here? And it's like I only have three cards that are really pulling me into blue, so that's kind of unexciting for me. And then it's like, yeah, Shock Brigade is like a card that really wants mobilized synergies, but I only have two mobilized synergies, so that's not that
Yeah.
exciting. And yeah, so I mean, like that's kind of like what I'd be like the weaknesses I feel is I always pay attention to the worst cards in the deck. Like obviously you have some pretty good cards. You have Hellkite, which is an okay card. You have Wingblade, like if you have Wingblade Disciple, you can just win the game from that. You have some okay
Yeah, I
cards
never
here and
drew it
there.
once.
You have Rebuke, you have Tiger, but like I'm instantly like paying attention to the worst cards in the deck, and I'm like Bellringer is like really bad, and even the
Yep.
brigades are not that amazing. And again, that's the thing with Siege. Like when we pick Siege, you're like saying, "Oh, it's a bomb rare," and I was like a little bit more skeptical. And I think this kind of shows why. Like it's, I mean, I don't know how it performed overall, but like it kind of debated you. I mean, in my opinion, it kind of like made you want to build around it, but it was hard to build around
Yep.
because like blue red is not really a go wide deck. You know what I mean? So it was like hard to build around it. Like Shock Brigade's more of a Mardu card, and then like
So
yeah.
yeah. So I'll tell you how it went. So the Frostcliff Siege, I was building around the Jeskai mode. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And when I was able to curve 2-drop into Frostcliff Siege and start drawing cards, I ran away with most of the games. The problem was sometimes I would mulligan to 6 and keep a hand that was not really coherent. That kind of had lands and spells, but the spells were my weakest cards. And I think what I should have been doing, because the difference between my worst card and my best card is massive, and I really need my best card here, I need the siege, I should have been mulling to 5 in those cases. I did also losing, so I lost a game to flooding. I lost game to, not finding the synergies that I needed. And then, I lost a game to a really strong red white aggro deck that I just, could not interact with very well.
Yeah, I mean, although I would say one thing about the summons is like earlier in the draft, I remember when we took summons and I was like, this is a card that might look like a powerful uncommon, but it might not play out as one. And I could imagine this is a deck where, like, imagine you took summons high, you thought it was a good uncommon. I mean, I don't know how it played out. Maybe it played out pretty well, maybe it didn't. But like, I could imagine
Oh,
it didn't play out. Like, it doesn't look that impressive to me here, but it's a card that was that like so then I would
it
like
it
like
was it was very good in some games and very bad in others.
yeah. That makes sense. Like, it's kind of a good card, but I also mean, like, even in the layout of the deck, like, when you look at the deck, it's like, how much is summons doing for me? Like, it's doing stuff, but it's like, it's not going that hard with the synergies. I mean, it's almost more of a flurry card. I guess this was actually one interesting thing Sam Black, I think he said about flurry or some mechanics, is he's like, you don't really need to build around flurry that much because it's just something you naturally do. Or no, maybe one time he says, the flurry cards are already good. I mean, he might not have said about this mechanic, but some mechanics, he's like a good example was Exhaust and Acer Drift. There were cards that like paid you off for exhausting, but he's like, it's already good when you're exhausting, so that kind of gives a minus to the cards that enable it a very small amount. I mean, obviously it's a bit different. Flurry's harder to enable, but that's probably one of the subtle problems with summons is that like if you have a good flurry card, like summons is good at getting you flurry, right? But like there's not that many flurry cards in the set. So it's like it's good with other good cards. You see what I mean? Like it's good if you have Windblade Disciple, but it's not like trivial to have Windblade Disciple in play, if you see what I'm saying. So like it's like I guess
I
what I'm
do,
saying,
based
yeah,
off of the way the games went.
yeah, I guess what I'm saying is summons is like you read it and you're like, oh, this is really good at enabling flurry. The problem is in reality, there's not that many flurry cards, and it's already kind of easy to enable them. Like your deck's already good at enabling Disciple, so it's like okay, summons is supposed to be good at enabling flurry cards, but you know, but I mean, I guess it is partially is a flurry card, quote unquote, because it becomes a 3/3. But anyway, I guess that's like one way to look at it. Like some of these mechanics, is sometimes there's a card that's like, oh, this card's really good when I exhaust, and then you look through the format and you realize like there's not that many cards that exhaust, and all the best cards in the format exhaust. So I don't, it's kind of awkward. But anyway, yeah, that's one way to look at
Good
that
when your
card.
deck's already good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah, I mean that
yeah,
card's hard support and I probably took it way too early. If that's the sort of card that if you get past it late in pick 1 or something, then it's kind of nice, but I took it as my second pick.
it's also
So
kind of a weird
that was a
card because it's kind of a weird concept, but it's like it's better the better your deck is. So like if you have like a very very perfect deck, it's like a constructed card. Like maybe you played a block constructed for this format, but like the worse your deck is, the worse this card is in a way, arguably, because like the worse your deck is, the harder it is to flurry, and the worse your deck is, the harder it is to get to take advantage of the fact that it's a cheap card that you can use the discard mode. So that's kind of why Summons is a weird card. Like you said, some games it was good, some games it was bad. Like it probably depended how good your hand is. Like probably the better your hand is, the better Summons look. The worse your hand is, the worse it
Yep,
looks. So it's kind of a weird card
absolutely.
where it's like it gets better the better your deck is. Um, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, this was instructive. I think this was a draft that I'm very happy with how the deck turned out considering how I drafted it, but it's clearly not, the best deck I've drafted in this format. So this was interesting. I think my next drafts I'll do, I think Foundations is on Arena, so I'll try to just stay open and do what you said, follow the advice you gave me here
Yeah, sounds good.
with
Yeah.
staying open until pack 2.
Yeah. And again, it does vary format to format, but I would say generally like yeah, staying open is good. And I definitely think like the first 5 packs I think are very early. It's almost like in sealed, like an analogy would be like it's like you look at your first 5 rares. Your first 5 picks are kind of like your first 5 rares. Like maybe they're your best cards, but you haven't seen the other picks. So you don't necessarily know what you can combine them with. And I definitely think there's a huge signal in like the good cards going late. Like I was kind of identifying there. I'm like, I feel like in the pack, like these dual lands are just going too late for me. So like if I take those dual lands, I'm getting high value cards from late picks. So that's part of why I'm skeptical to move in too early in the first 5 picks. Is I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of value by seeing what are the good cards going late in the pack. Because if I can get like it's not hard to get good cards in the first 5 picks. You should be getting good cards in the first 5 picks. It's hard to get good cards in the last picks. So I want to try and get if you maximize greedy, if you want to get the best deck possible, a lot of times it's getting good cards in the last picks. I guess the last short thing I would say on the Artisan, because I was hyping it a little bit, is I would say Artisan is the exact archetype of a card that I hype that's not actually that good. But the reason that I was into it is that it was a card you were getting for like free. So I would say it's not a card that I would say it's good, but it's the kind of card that's like I would say perfectly serviceable. Like I was like it's like not embarrassing to put in your deck. It has synergy with cards. It's like fine, but you can get it for free. And I really I really don't want to put cards like High Spire Bellringer. I mean, you technically have synergy with the Siege because you can draw an extra card or whatever. But like if these if the Bellringers were just like a 3 mana equivalent of that treasure making card, like a card that's not embarrassing. I guess what I'm saying is it's really good if you can take not embarrassing cards in the last picks. Because if you have no embarrassing cards in your deck, that's like really powerful.
Yeah,
Like if
and
you
you have good fit.
a draft deck that has no embarrassing cards is like a 7 out of 10. Like literally just a draft deck with no embarrassing cards is a 7 out of 10. So there's so much value in getting not embarrassing cards when you can pick them up, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, even if you're, not confident you're going to play them, it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way I built this deck, I should have just put in a Team or Tawny back or two over the Bell Ringers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess
Even if it's a 4 mana Team or Tawny back, that's fine.
yeah. I mean, I guess the main point about the treasure card is that like people will think a card is bad, so they'll just be like, I don't want to play it, I don't want to pick it. But if a card's like not that good, but it's also not embarrassing, that's kind of like a sweet spot where like people won't take the card, but it's actually it's way above expectations. Like people will think it's bad, but it's actually like fine. Like people are taking the card like it's a 2 out of 10, but it's a 5 out of 10. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
yeah, like it would be like obviously this isn't the best deck for it because it's a 2 color deck. But again, like although that's when you start analyzing those cards and you look at the 4 mana make a treasure and you're like, okay, my opponent it's pretty good against removal and it's not that easy to block. And it's an okay blocker too because it's a 2. So it's like it's a card that like a lot of people will think it's weak, but the more you analyze it, the more you're like it has play to it. It has things you can say about it. It's a real card. Like being a real card is valuable because part of the problem is the Bell Ringer. Sometimes you cast it, it's just not a real card. It's like half a card or whatever. It's just like low
Mhm.
impact, I guess is what I'm saying. So like if you can get a lot of impact out of a card, that's good. And the 4 drop is kind of a
Definitely.
high impact card, especially like you combine it with that you combine it with that Blizzard whatever. Now all of a sudden you're casting it on turn 3, things are happening. But anyway, yeah, that's most of what I have to say. I guess yeah, we can wrap it up here unless there's anything else you want to add.
No, absolutely. I'm going to try to do some more drafts. I would love to do another session in the future. And, wherever you post these videos, let me know. I want to watch them, watch your other training sessions too.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll just put it on